It was the same night as any other. The mansion was large and imposing, its history shrouded in mystery and rumors of unspeakable horrors. Tonight, a group of thrill-seekers gathered for a Halloween party, unaware of the darkness that lurked behind its walls. Amid the flickering light of candles and the sounds of laughter, a rumor floated among the guests, a rumor about a forbidden room hidden deep in the labyrinth of the mansion's corridors. They were talking about the cursed past of the room, a place where nightmares took shape and sanity shattered like fragile glass. As the night was coming to an end, several daredevils decided to explore the forbidden room. Full of curiosity and bravado, they dared to go into the unknown, armed with flashlights and trembling with anticipation. The air became heavy with a bad feeling as they approached a door whose surface was adorned with mysterious symbols engraved with faded paint. After taking a collective sip, the group pushed open a creaking door and walked into a world engulfed in darkness. Their flashlights pierced the darkness, highlighting the walls lined with shelves, each containing a grotesque artifact from the past. The dust danced in the rays of light, giving the scene an unearthly look. While they were watching intently, a terrible silence reigned in the room, broken only by their muffled whispers and the faint sound of their own hearts beating furiously. The mansion itself seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for him to reveal his secrets. One by one, the artifacts manifested themselves. A shabby book bound in human leather, on the pages of which forbidden spells were engraved. A broken mirror reflecting broken images of exhausted souls. A curled-up doll with cold, lifeless eyes that seemed to follow their every move. Each object exuded an aura of malice, an invitation to madness. Suddenly, a gust of icy wind swept across the room, turning off their flashlights. Panic filled their hearts as darkness closed in around them. The murmur echoed from invisible angles, getting louder with each second. The air itself seemed to thicken with ill will. They were driving frantically in the dark, desperately trying to turn on their flashlights again. And then, with a slight flicker, the room plunged into a frightening flickering glow. Their flashlights illuminated the sight that had made them bleed in their veins. The artifacts came to life. The shabby book chuckled with a sinister delight, its pages turned over feverishly, as if possessed by an invisible force. The shadows danced on the walls, folding into fanciful shapes that had no resemblance to reality. The broken mirror reflected distorted images of their deepest fears and darkest mysteries, tormenting their minds with nightmarish visions. The shabby doll, once motionless, now moved with unnatural grace. His porcelain limbs trembled as if they were being trained by an invisible puppeteer. At every step, the doll's eyes followed them, filling the room with a frightening sensation of being watched. Fear engulfs them, threatening to lose their sanity. They realized that they had become pawns in an evil game, locked in a room where nightmares were becoming reality. The boundaries between the living and the dead were erased, and the manor reveled in their horror. Driven by despair, they were looking for a way to escape. Their trembling hands touched an ancient key hidden among the artifacts, a key that would have the power to unlock the door of salvation. With quivering hope, they inserted the key into the lock, praying to get rid of the vice of darkness. When the door opened, a dazzling light flooded the room, chasing away the shadows that threatened to engulf them. Panting, they stumbled and went out into the corridor, leaving the forbidden room behind. Their hearts were still beating. They only looked back to find that the door had disappeared, leaving no trace of the horrors they had witnessed. The mansion was silent and still, as if it had completely absorbed their ordeal. The rumors about the forbidden room did not subside, an obsessive reminder of the darkness that lurked inside. But they survived, bound together by a common experience of fear and an indestructible bond forged in the face of the unknown. From that day on, they understood that it was better not to reveal certain secrets, because in the depths of darkness the forbidden lurks, and only the bravest souls dare to venture where others are afraid to tread.
It was a stormy night, rain drumming on the windows of the old Victorian mansion where the party was taking place. Inside, a group of friends sought shelter from the storm, gathered around a wooden table decorated with a mysterious antiquity, a witty board game. Curiosity and excitement filled the air as they put their fingers on the tablet, wanting to chat with the other party. The wavering candlelight cast strange shadows on their faces, heightening the sense of anticipation. With a hesitant sigh, they began to ask questions, their fingers lightly resting on a wooden pointer. At first, the tablet moved slowly, writing out innocent messages that caused a smile and laughter. But as the questions became bolder, the atmosphere changed. The board was sliding all over the board with such force that their spikes were shaking, as if an invisible presence had taken over. Whispers of apprehension echoed through the room as the mind's responses became ominous and disturbing. The creature pretended to be a tortured soul seeking revenge for a long-forgotten injustice. Nervous laughter turned into nervous looks, but their curiosity prompted them to continue despite their growing anxiety. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles. The darkness swallowed them up, broken only by a faint glimmer of moonlight filtering through the rain-drenched windows. Discomfort settled deep in their bones as they pressed closer together, their fingers trembling on the tablet. A voice, soft and ghostly, whispered in the dark. He was talking about a tragic story, about a life cut short by betrayal and a desire for revenge. The presence of the spirit intensified, his anger was palpable. Objects rattled on the table, and the room was filled with a sense of impending disaster. One by one, the friends felt a presence behind them, an icy breath on their neck, an icy hand touching their skin. Fear took possession of their hearts when they realized that the mind was no longer limited by the picture. He crossed the threshold, merging the kingdom of the living with the kingdom of the dead. Paranoia and distrust crept in among them, as the mind manipulated their fears and secrets. He revealed intimate details that, in their opinion, were hidden using their vulnerabilities. The friend turned to the friend when suspicions were dispelled. They were trapped in a nightmarish game, with no way to escape from the clutches of a vengeful spirit. In desperation, they appealed to the spirit of mercy for a way to put an end to the persecution. The tablet flew all over the board, proclaiming a terrifying request, a sacrificial offering to quench the insatiable thirst for revenge of the spirit. Fear mixed with despair as they considered the terrible choice facing them. They realized that the only way to free themselves from the shackles of reason was to face their own darkest fears. They had to face the sins of their past, make amends and find redemption. United by their determination, they embarked on a dangerous journey into the depths of their own souls. Secrets were revealed, apologies were offered and forgiveness was requested. Every step forward was like a battle with the invading darkness, but they persevered, their minds refusing to be absorbed by the malice that surrounded them. When night fell and the storm subsided, there was a glimmer of hope. The spirit's anger began to weaken, its exhausted energy dissipated. With the last message on the board, he granted them liberation by returning to the kingdom from which he came. Exhausted and changed forever, the friends sat among the remnants of their obsessive experience. They survived the night, but the echoes of the presence of the spirit persisted, a haunting reminder of the horrors they faced. The spirit board game remained on the table, a silent testimony to the horrors they had witnessed. This served as a frightening reminder that some doors are better left closed and that playing with the unknown involves dangerous costs. From that night on, they swore never to go to the beyond worlds, because they learned the true power of spirits, the power that could destroy lives and test the boundaries of their very soul.
It was a moonless night and the grand ballroom was flickering with candles as a group of friends gathered for a Halloween party. The air was filled with excitement and laughter as the guests arrived in their costumes, each one more exquisite than the other. The centerpiece of the room was a massive antique mirror, its ornate frame reflecting the dimly lit environment. During the evening, the guests were attracted by the charming presence of the mirror. Its surface seemed to have an otherworldly appearance, as if it contained a secret waiting to be revealed. Curiosity mixed with apprehension as the revelers approached the mirror one by one, not taking their eyes off their reflections. Tessa, an adventurous soul with an insatiable thirst for the unknown, was the first to step forward. She bent down, her eyes met her reflection, and a shiver ran down her spine. The image in the mirror seemed slightly distorted, as if it was mocking her. His face twisted into a crooked smile, and the eyes of his reflection burned with a strange light. Worried but intrigued, Tessa stepped aside, giving way to others to experience the mysterious power of the mirror. When each guest looked at their reflections, a sense of unease arose in the room. The mirror seemed to have a special ability to open the darkest corners of their souls, revealing hidden fears and long-buried secrets. Jackson, a bold and skeptical skeptic, stepped forward with a smirk on his face. He was convinced that the mirror had no power other than smoke and mirrors. But when he closed his eyes to his reflection, the grin disappeared, replaced by an expression of horror on his face. Her mirror self smiled mischievously, revealing a row of jagged teeth that seemed to increase with every passing second. The once exultant atmosphere turned into palpable fear as the harmful influence of the mirror intensified. People's reflections were distorted, displaying grotesque and disgusting images. The room filled with gasps and panicked whispers as the mirror seemed to feed on the fear and vulnerability of its victims. Despair began to creep in when the guests realized that they were trapped in the dark spell of the mirror. The door leading to the ballroom disappeared, leaving them without an exit. Time became blurry as they struggled to find a way to escape from the clutches of the mirror. They frantically searched for answers, searching the room for clues or hidden passages. Every attempt was futile, and their minds were getting weaker by the moment. Fear and despair threatened to engulf them entirely. In the midst of the chaos, Tessa's mind clung to a faint memory from her childhood, a story she had heard about a mysterious key that revealed the innermost secrets of the world. A key that was capable of breaking the most sinister enchantments. With renewed determination, she rallied the others by sharing her revelation. They walked around the room once more, not losing sight of a single stone, until finally they found a small intricate key hidden in a forgotten drawer. A ray of hope lit up in their hearts as they approached the mirror. The key was firmly clutched in Tessa's hand. With trembling hands, Tessa inserted the key into the ornate frame of the mirror. A deafening silence descended on the room, and time seemed to stop. Slowly, the mirror's malicious presence began to fade, as if its power had dried up. When the last traces of darkness evaporated, the guests found themselves standing in the ballroom again. The mirror returned to its former state, nothing more than a beautiful but harmless decoration. The nightmare is over, but this experience has left an indelible mark on each of them. They left the party forever changed, knowing that the mirror revealed not only their fears, but also their resilience. And when they went out into the night, they carried with them the knowledge that sometimes the most terrible battles take place inside, and that facing her deepest fears can lead to the greatest triumphs.
The moon cast a frightening glow on the old mansion, as if to warn those who dared to enter. Inside, the party was in full swing, the air was filled with laughter and chatter. The owner, Mr. Harrington, spared no effort to make this evening unforgettable. But the guests did not suspect that something sinister was waiting for them in the shadows. As the night was coming to an end, the revelers came across a secret room. It has been sealed for years, its secrets have been buried deep within its walls. The rumor circulated like a forest fire, attracting a group of curious onlookers into further investigation. Nathan, a thrill seeker known for his courage, took the initiative. Emma, skeptical but nevertheless intrigued, followed on his heels. Laura, a shy and discreet young woman, hesitated but was moved by their enthusiasm. Together, they gently pushed open the heavy door, opening their gaze to a room frozen in time. The room was decorated with dusty relics of the past. Along the walls there was antique furniture covered with torn sheets. But what caught their attention was the small ornate music box that stood on a graceful pedestal in the center of the room. An otherworldly aura came from him, his intricate carved patterns created an ominous impression. Nathan reached out his slightly trembling hand and gently opened the lid. The music that flowed from there was obsessive, a melody that seemed to penetrate into their bones. Bewitching notes echoed in the room, enchanting the trio. They exchanged nervous glances, feeling a sense of embarrassment kissing them. As the melody played, the atmosphere changed. Ominous shadows fell on the walls and the temperature dropped dramatically. The air thickens with the sinister energy suffocating their once joyful mood. Suddenly, the objects began to move by themselves. The chair was creaking on the floor, the vase broke into pieces. The music box seemed to be beating its own scary life. The trio found themselves trapped in a nightmarish symphony. Horrified, they realized that they had to stop the obsessive melody. Laura, motivated by fear but armed with determination, bravely tried to close the lid of the music box. However, her hand froze in the air, as if an invisible force was holding her back. Emma's rational mind was working frantically, desperately looking for a solution. She remembered a local legend, a story that the townspeople whispered about the cursed music box. According to legend, the box contained the exhausted soul of a once brilliant composer, whose mind was absorbed in darkness. Emma was feverishly repeating the spell she had found, her voice trembling with every word. The room was shaking, the obsessive melody collapses and silence engulfs them for a moment. The composer's mind seemed to waver, torn between the world of the living and the kingdom of the dead. After gathering the remnants of courage, Nathan took a step forward. He put his hands on the music box, a desperate plea was written on his face. In a voice full of compassion, he whispered words of understanding and forgiveness to the exhausted composer. The music box was shaking a lot, its lid was closing and the obsessive melody was coming off. The room is plunged into darkness, shrouded in a frightening silence. Gradually, the temperature returned to normal and the shadows receded, leaving the trinity alone and out of breath. When they stumbled, they left the room, the regulars of the party looked at them, their faces were full of worry. They witnessed the difficult trial of this trinity from the other side of the door, feeling the wickedness coming from within. The rumor of a haunted music box spread throughout the mansion, enveloping the remaining guests in a layer of fear and charm. The party turned into a gloomy event, accompanied by muffled whispers and oblique glances. Finally, the music box has been sealed again and its obsessive melody is muffled. The mansion was a reminder of the darkness that lurks in forgotten corners, warning everyone who would dare to reveal the secrets hidden within its walls. And this trinity? They brought with them a new understanding of the fragile balance between light and darkness and the courage to face the darkest corners of their own soul. The haunted music box changed them forever, leaving an indelible mark in their lives. The legend of the haunted music box has become an instructive story told from generation to generation. Its icy air continued to resonate in the hearts of those who listened, recalling the power of darkness and the power of the human